Hi, my name is Leia. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making stuffed peppers and talking about the summer I turned pretty. I want to talk about the summer I turned pretty. I read all 3 of the books. I'm currently caught up on the show and I would like to talk about it, and then I'm also making dinner. I'm going to also talk about the ending of the book series and so far what's been happening on the show. If you don't want to know what happens at the end of the last book, then don't watch this video. Anyway, I'm gonna get the vegetables now. I'm gonna start by cutting off the tops of the peppers and then scooping out all the guts. I'm kind of late when it comes to the books. I just recently read all 3 books. I read book 1 and then I would watch season 1, and then I read book 2, watch season 2, and then I have finished book 3 and I'm caught up on season 3 so far. The day that I'm recording this, I believe the most recent episode that's out right now is episode 5. It's the Peaches episode. If you know, you know. But I'm gonna start from the beginning at book 1 because I personally feel like book 1 is the best book. It's good. I wouldn't say it's great. I didn't love the book series, to be completely honest with you, but I think book 1 is good, and then I think it kind of goes downhill from there. I think what I really liked about the first book, it's just like atmospheric in my opinion. I feel like it has really good like summer vibes. It also made me feel nostalgia of like what it's like to be a teenager and like not really have that many like responsibilities and just like, I don't know, having like a will to live. That I think overall is what I really enjoyed about the book the most. In terms of characters and storyline, I think for the most part the show does a good job of following like the bare bones of the plot in the first book. When I started the show though, I was very confused by the amount of stuff that they add, because in the books you don't get side plots of any of the other characters at all. I think the show is more fun in that way because we get more content and more time with like other characters. I also think the show does Belly's character a little more justice than the books, because I think in the books Belly is a lot more immature. I think that she does not keep her cool when Conrad is dating another girl. Like in the show, she like quite literally befriends Conrad's girlfriend, but in the book, she is just like wearing her emotions on her sleeve in a way that's like, it's so obvious that like you're jealous of her, and she's like acting like so snarky towards her. It was making me crawl out of my skin when I was reading that part of the book. I also think they made Taylor's character a lot more likable in the show as well. Fun fact, I heard if you wet a paper towel and you put it on the side of your cutting board and you cut an onion, it doesn't burn your eyeballs as bad. Anyway, in the book, when she visits cousins for a week, she basically asks Belly, like, who do you choose, Conrad or Jeremiah? Because I'm gonna go after one of them. Belly is in love with Conrad. It's like Taylor has to know that, but then she still chooses to try to flirt with Conrad and go after him. But he is not interested in her, so then in turn she goes after Jeremiah. I believe they end up kissing. I just feel like it's really crazy work to show up and just literally try to get with every single man under that house. And I think what stinks about the book and what I don't like is there is no Stephen and Taylor storyline whatsoever, because it's like through Belly's perspective. So they're only in the story when they're like directly interacting with Belly and like sometimes Conrad and Jeremiah, and that's it. I think they made her a better friend to Belly in the show, and I think they made her a million times less annoying, if you can believe it. Belly also dates Cam Cameron for a lot longer than she does in the TV show. Like she dates Cam the entire book, and she doesn't break up. Don't talk to me about how I cut my onions. Like just shut up about how I cut. I don't care. I don't know what the I'm doing. I'm also talking while I'm doing this, and I really don't need to hear it from anyone. Anyway, and I kind of, again, liked how the show didn't have her dating him as long, because I feel like it gives us more time with her, like, love triangle between Conrad and Jeremiah. Oh my god, I'm crying. The paper towel's not working. I was never really team anyone until book 3, because I didn't mind Jeremiah. I liked them both, actually, and I feel like in the books, he's not as cringy as he is in the show. I'm just like so curious what the script was for the actor that plays Jeremiah, because certain scenes, like when they're in the debutante ballroom doing dance practice, and you have that man showing up in a netted sheer tank top. You start slow dancing with Belly, and then you take over the Alexa and start dancing like, what, you're in a club or you're in a house party? We're not exactly setting him up for success when you're given scenes like that. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if it's weird, but I'm gonna put him in these. I think one of the biggest differences in book 1 versus season 1 is they have Belly make out with Jeremiah and then make out with Conrad, and then she has to tell Jeremiah that she kissed Conrad and she wants to be with Conrad. So messy. In the show, she doesn't kiss Jeremiah. She basically tells Jeremiah that she doesn't have feelings for Conrad anymore, but she's lying to him and herself. And then Jeremiah confesses his feelings for her, and I can't remember exactly what she says, but it's not like she necessarily pursues him. That's basically, I think, one of the biggest differences between the book and the show, because while I think Belly is like a little more emotionally stable in the show, I think it was crazy to have her make out with both of them in season 1. Now, I didn't like book 2 as much as I liked book 1, like I kind of already mentioned. To be honest, it's not as fun. It's just sad because Susanna dies, obviously. It's honestly just like kind of a bummer. I think that's like the best way to describe a mother of 2 sons dying of cancer. For the most part, like the bare plot of book 2 happens in the show, but again, the main difference is in the beginning of the book, Jeremiah isn't mad at Belly because she didn't make out with him and then make out with his brother a day later. He's not mad at her. It's like they just aren't as close as they used to be because she's dating his brother. Another weird thing about the books that I didn't understand why she wrote it this way is that they go to Conrad's dorm to look for him, and Belly's going through his things to find clues, and she opens the drawer and finds the infinity necklace. Now, at this point in the book, it is not explained. I'm crying. It didn't work. The infinity necklace isn't explained. In book 1, she has her 16th birthday. Conrad doesn't give her a present, and you're like, wow, he's an asshole. And then she goes into his dorm, which is like a year later, finds the infinity necklace, and goes, this was meant for me, and puts it on and hides it underneath her shirt. Granted, they're broken up, right? Prom happened, the funeral happened, same thing. That all happened, and she wears the infinity necklace, even though there's no indication that it's meant for her. She just knows it's meant for her. From a reader's perspective, we're not given the context of like what the infinity necklace symbolizes. Like, we're not given that flashback of him explaining it to her when they're kids. So like, I didn't know that at that time. It's explained later in book 3, but I think that I'm reading that, I'm like, Belly, you're a weirdo freak. Why would you do that? Also, he's in college. You don't have contact with him. You don't know what girl he's talking. Like, that was insane. I'm sorry. Sure, she was right. It was meant for her, but like, imagine she was wrong. That's, again, crazy to me. I'm dying. Something else I liked about the show is they incorporated more drama surrounding them losing the house, because in the book, Aunt Julia doesn't exist, Sky doesn't exist. Those were just like added on characters to, I think, like make the story a bit more dramatic about how like Susanna had a sister and they had a falling out and they don't see their cousin anymore. So I personally like those additions, because in the book, they're just like fighting their dad. And it's like, yeah, their dad's an asshole. Overall, I enjoyed reading the books and then watching the show, because the show like takes what you've read in the books but then adds so much to it in a way that I think makes it more fun. The show also though kind of confuses me because I don't understand how much money the Fishers have. It doesn't make sense to me. Susanna dies, all the rights to the house goes to Aunt Julia. Aunt Julia wants to sell the house, but Mr. Fisher said that they can't afford to buy the house off of Aunt Julia. Okay, sure, fine. Wasn't the house passed down to them? So it's like, in theory, their parents bought the house, right? They bought the house. It has to be paid off to some capacity. Maybe not fully, but it has to be at least partially paid off. Then Aunt Julia wants to sell it. Okay, fine. So, say she wants to sell it at full market value. She's not going to cut Mr. Fisher a deal. Fine. But then it's like they can afford a housekeeper, and not to skip ahead, but he's paying for Jeremiah's college, which would lead me to assume he's also paying for Conrad's college. If you can afford to pay your children's college debt, also, what did Susanna do for a living? Art? She was a painter? I don't know. No offense. I just don't think that really screams breadwinner to me. I feel like they're always making references to how much money the Fishers have, but then at the same time they can't afford. He's like, yeah, we're gonna have to sell our house to buy the summer house. Like, how much does he make a year after taxes? I need to start making the meat. I've been avoiding it. I don't want to make the meat. I have to put the peppers in now. In the book, they didn't really f Jeremiah over. He just said, hey, I like you. And she was like, I'm going to go after your brother and I'm going to date him. And then we're going to break up because we decided to date in the midst of your mom dying and we're teenagers and we don't know how to process our emotions yet. And then throughout book 2, she starts to consider dating Jeremiah, and then obviously they end up making out after Conrad passes his exam. She has that conversation with Conrad where Conrad's like, I don't have feelings for you. She gives him the infinity necklace back, which she stole. Conrad is basically like, I don't have feelings for you. And then they all go into the hotel room and then he's like, I didn't mean that. In her head and also in her defense, she was like, oh, he does this to me all the time where he shows interest and then he pulls away. He shows interest and then he pulls away. In the show, I feel like, again, it's a lot more dramatic. Jeremiah refusing to fully be with Belly until she knows full and well that Conrad has feelings for her and denies him. He's like, I need you to pick me, basically. Which, again...
So pick me.
Choose me. Which, again, I get because in the show she does, like, do him so dirty. But while I was reading the book, I didn't hate them together. And I think I already mentioned this, but, like, I wasn't really team anyone. Like, I genuinely liked Jeremiah and Conrad both. And I remember finishing book 2 and season 2 and still questioning, like, I don't understand why people hate Jeremiah so much. And then I started book 3, and even before he cheats on her in Cabo, we're getting an overview of how Belly and Jeremiah's relationship is long-term. And he's a little immature. He's a little inconsiderate. He's a little selfish. I don't know what that says. Ugh, oh my god. Adding garlic. Ew. Oh, I'm good. Oh! I can't talk right now. I have too much going on. Ah! I think I can do 2 things at once now. I don't know what the I was saying, but I didn't mind Jeremiah until book 3, and then I'm like, oh no, just kidding. I get why everyone hates him. I do think we're growing. Okay. I didn't even check on the peppers. I like completely forgot they existed. Oh, they look fine. I crocheted this, by the way. Oh, I was gonna say, I personally feel like we're progressing as a society when we choose to villainize the man that cheated on his girlfriend when they were quote-unquote on a break. Because it's giving Ross and Rachel from Friends. And that's something that never sat right with me, and I don't think it sat right for a lot of people, because I would just make absolute sure that the relationship is over before you just, like, I don't know, shove your in someone else. Ugh. And the other thing, because I will say, book 3 in general pissed me off so bad. Like, I feel like I could not get past the engagement, because in book 3, there is no foreshadowing whatsoever that Jeremiah is going to propose. Because in the show, he's talking to Redbird, and Redbird is basically like, oh yeah, you got to show her how much you care in a big way. And I feel like that kind of foreshadows what Jeremiah is going to do next, a little bit. But in the book, there is none of that. She's upset and distraught. Also, Steven never gets in a car accident. I forgot that's a plot line. He shows up to her dorm and she starts crying again, being like, I can't trust you anymore. And then he gets down on his knee and proposes. That was the last thing I thought was gonna happen in that book. The book is worse because they're 18 and 19. They're 18 and 19. At least in the show, they made it so like Jeremiah's 21 and like about to graduate. It pissed me off so bad where I'm like, you guys are so stupid. Oh, I put tomato sauce in this. Ew. Ugh. I once again completely forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, they get engaged at 18 and 19 and it pisses me the fuck off so bad. I'm like, you guys are dumb asses. Laurel's reaction, yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly. The whole time I was reading and also watching the show, I'm like, Laurel has to be exhausted. Like, you lose your best friend. You have to deal with all of the aftermath. You have to figure out her will. You have to deal with all that shit. When she has a full-ass husband, but I get it, he's a piece of shit. One moment. You have to grieve that your best friend is dead. You have to figure out all of her arrangements. Then, daughter and her son break up. You have to be the emotional support person during that process. And then your daughter comes home and is like, oh yeah, Mom, I'm dating Jeremiah now. So in the book, it's like a million times worse because she starts dating Jeremiah. It hasn't even been a full year. And then she announces to her mom at her best friend's ceremony, who died, and goes, we're getting married. Jesus Christ, that poor woman. And the thing that pisses me off about the book, and this is once again your final warning if you don't want the ending of The Summer I Turned Pretty to be spoiled for you. What I really didn't like is we have to spend the entire third book having to witness Belly plan this ass wedding with no money, no parental support, and no help from her fiance. It is like very clear in the book how Belly is planning everything. She's doing all the major work, her and Taylor, honestly. It's just annoying to me that we have to spend a majority of the book witnessing that. And then finally, Conrad finds out that Jeremiah cheated on Belly. So then Conrad goes up to Belly and is like, hey, Jeremiah cheated on you. She goes, yeah, I know. And she's like, you have no right to say those things, blah, blah, blah. And then he basically, like, professes his feelings for her. She is basically like, too little too late. Okay, your man cheated on you. What's running through my head the entire time of me reading it is like, be for real, you guys. Be for real. And Conrad's, like, actually cooking meals with nutritional value and, like, taking care of the house and, like, I don't know, being a adult. And meanwhile, you're, like, running into Jeremiah's arms, who's getting pissed off at you for a fucking... I'm done. After Conrad professes his feelings, she tells Jeremiah what happened. They get into some sort of altercation that we can't even witness, which also annoys me. Jeremiah storms in and is basically like, tell me right now, do you still love him? And obviously she can't lie. And she's like, yeah, I still love him. And then she starts groveling to him. Oh my God, don't piss me off. Don't piss me off, that man cheated on you. I hate that she starts like basically begging him to marry her. And then it doesn't happen. Also, there is the whole switch up of the letters, which I feel like the show also does a good job of foreshadowing, which is not in the book. But it's like, we didn't even get to fucking read what the letters said. They mentioned that Jeremiah gets Conrad's letter, and in that letter, Susanna mentions something along the lines of like, oh, I know how you always loved Belly to Conrad, but it accidentally gets read by Jeremiah. And then Jeremiah gets pissed off by that, even though you know that he loves her. And all of a sudden it's a big surprise because his mom wrote it in a letter. And like also the fact that like Conrad professes his feelings to his fiance, but it's like, I don't give a Anyway, they finally don't get married, which it's like, yeah, no shit, I knew that was gonna happen the entire time. But this is what's annoying, is she tells us the wedding is off, so we don't get any of the chaotic aftermath. We don't get any of the drama. We're just told that the wedding's not happening, and then it flashes forward 2 years, and Belly is, it's not Paris, whatever, she's out of the country, studying abroad, and it talks about how Conrad keeps writing letters to her. He keeps sending her these like cutesy little packages, and it's really sweet, and then eventually she writes back, and then we're told that they end up getting married and they end up together. But it's like, it pisses me off that we get breadcrumbs of her and Conrad reconciling. Like, no. Like, I waited, I read through all that bullshit about her and Jeremiah and that goddamn wedding. And then finally, her and Conrad can be together. We get nothing. It was just so unsatisfying after everything. Like, it felt like the ending was so rushed. I just, like, was not a fan of the third book. I wasn't a fan of them getting engaged. But I am really curious to see how the show goes about it. I personally kind of hope the show does something different. Like, a little bit. Hi. We don't get to actually, like, see their relationship, really, after they end up together, and so I really hope the show does a better job of doing that. I think, in general, the show is a lot better than the books. I just, like, personally like the additional plot lines, and I like how they incorporate more characters outside of just, like, Belly, Jeremiah, and Conrad. Overall, in terms of books, the first one is definitely my favorite, and then I think it just progressively gets worse from there. I feel like I really liked all the seasons so far, honestly. I don't think I necessarily have a favorite. I'm just excited to finish the show because I'm really curious what they do with the book's ending. I think that's all I have to say about The Summer I Turned Pretty. Yeah, thanks for making dinner with me and listening to me bitch about teenagers.